Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Michael Bird, and you are listening to another episode of Take Care of Yourself. This is the podcast that makes absolutely no sense, and we give you all these different topics where you can take care of yourself in the real world. But I think today we're going to just talk about the single life and how you take care of yourself out there when it comes to meeting people online, when it comes to meeting people in bars and restaurants. And I don't know, are we even going to talk about that? Because who does that anymore? I think most people nowadays are all about swiping to the lefts and swiping to the rights. And, just doing that mess. I know I started back doing it a couple of months back, and I am batting 0 for 100 so far in my date. I actually haven't even been on a date yet. So I've been kind of laying back and just using it like for entertainment purposes. But today I've got a podcast rookie on the show, Miss Holly Hill. Holly, you are from what, the Southern Pines area, somewhere around there, right?
Yes, the burbs of Pinehurst, which would be Seven Lakes.
Oh, nice. I've never been up there. I mean, that's where the big golf course is, of course, like Pinehurst, and they have like some PGA events up there. You ever been to the golf course?
I actually have, not by choice. It's not that exciting for me. And the big misconception here is like golf brings the most revenue to this area, but it's actually the equestrian community. So that's a little fun tidbit about the area.
Really? So there's a lot of horse riding going on around there.
A lot of riding some horses. Yep.
You got horses?
Absolutely not. There's some in the neighborhood that my children actually take lessons on, but I dare not get on a horse.
Why? Are you scared of them? Or
Well, I just feel like it's not really fair, because this is just scary. Like I know like it's an old thing, but like I feel as like a tall individual, I just feel like that wouldn't be fair to the horse, That's a load,
I mean, you're tall. How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot tall.
6 foot tall? Damn, you're taller than me. Well, depends on what kind of shoes I'm wearing. But if you're wearing heels, then good God,
Yep.
you're looking down on me.
Yeah, that's the case. It's the shut-eyes around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I got a scary story about horses. So when I was a kid, we used to have a pony, and he was mean as fuck. Like this is how mean he was. My dad bent over in front of him, and he bit his ass. Okay, and then my dad slapped him. So I think this pony hated humans already just because of that. And so at the time, I was probably 5, maybe 6, and they put me on the pony and just left me there because that's what they did back in the early 80s. They just didn't give a shit about their kids. They just like put them outside, let them go play in the mud and get kicked in the head by a horse. But anyway, so I got on this pony, and it took off with me on it. All right. And then I like started to fall down the side, and I'm like hanging on. And I remember this too, like it was yesterday at 5 or 6 years old. And I ended up falling off the horse. So then a few years later, I got on, I mean, that was a pony. So I ended up getting on a horse, and this damn thing just took off running. And I'm like, poof, 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 oh my God. I'm like just going crazy on this thing. And it jumped a ditch. And when it jumped the ditch, he went up. I went up, he came down, I came down, not on top of the horse. I just like fell right on the ground, dude. And it's like, I'm never getting on another horse after that. So
yeah,
that's
that circles back to dating, right? Getting back on the horse.
Ooh, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
That's a terrible horse to ride right there. So you know what? Before we get into that, let me hear a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself, like what you do and how long you've been single. What's your story, Holly?
Okay, so it's not that exciting, but exciting enough, I guess, to ask about. So I'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I am 38. I am absolutely fabulous. I work part-time. I'm a mom. But the whole like dating thing has been iffy. So yeah, I just do my thing. I'm just a mom, and that's it.
So what makes dating so hard for you?
Um, there, do we have all day?
Oh, we got plenty of time here.
So, I mean, as you know, it's just rough in the streets. I think I've struggled more lately because, as you know, coming out of a long-term relationship and getting back on that horse, it's just increasingly frustrating to just not find good humans. So,
Hmm.
that's my baseline is like just a good human, and that's very hard to come by. So,
Yeah, so a little bit of background with us. I don't remember what year it was. It's been a while back, I believe, because I think we met on a dating app. I can't remember.
mhm.
Maybe it was Match. And I think it was probably around 2016, 2017, because I remember talking to you on the phone when I was in California, uh, playing in a cornhole tournament.
Oh
And
yeah,
that had,
recollection. Sorry.
yeah, you don't forgot, you forgot all about me. I see how you are. Yeah.
That's the worst.
I'm a forgettable person, Holly. It's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go cry. Where's my tissue at? But yeah, so we met online, and we just recently reconnected. Like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, how did it get brought up?" Oh, I said something about I do a podcast, and then you were like, "Yes, let's do it. I want to do it." And then
Yeah, no,
God
bad idea.
bless. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're like super nervous right now. Ladies and gentlemen, she is like full of nerves right now because this is her first time ever being on a podcast of any kind. And so I promised I would just give her the tip tonight, just the tip, because she's a podcast virgin. So
I am. I'm
yeah.
train wreck.
So so since we met back in like 2016, 2017, had you been in a relationship since then?
I have. I guess from Match, I met someone, and we were together, almost 2 years ish. Um, and then you're like, man, here we go again.
Mm.
Although I'm totally equipped to do so, it's not the greatest thing, as you know. So
What do you mean you're totally equipped to do so? What?
totally equipped to like meet new people. Like that's
Mm.
nothing. I love people. I'm invested in humans. So,
Okay.
speaking with people, learning about people has been my career kind of in hairstyling and um traveling for work as well. And just investing in people, getting to know people. And it's been interesting. Just in the past 2 years, it's shifted a whole lot. I don't know if you've noticed that yet, but it's been really crazy to see the big changes just in a short period of time.
Mm. What do you mean by like what big changes?
So,
Like,
the election virus type thing,
mm.
people just got a little bit loony. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe we
Pen.
should cut the election virus part, but
The election virus. You know what? I didn't even pay any attention to it until you just brought it up. But yeah, I think the pandemic it took a toll on a
it,
lot of people because you were in
it
your
did.
home for such a long time. If you were in your home with your significant other, you ended up hating each other probably, or you ended up like having two or three kids, or well. I don't know how many kids could you have in that period of time. At least you could have two. It's possible. Yeah, have the baby, then a month rest, then boom, you can pop another one out. Yeah, yeah. Well, not pop it out, but yeah, the pandemic was rough. I had a girlfriend throughout the whole pandemic, so it really didn't affect me that way. It brought us closer in 2020, but then when 2021 rolls around, we started getting back on like a normal schedule, and she was going to work, and then I was still working from home a lot, and but yeah, it affected everybody different. Yeah. What
It
what
did.
yeah, what did it do to you?
It actually gave me some positive perspective because in my industry, um, they closed the doors on us. So that was like a big, like, whoa, because I went from owning a salon and spa, selling right before the pandemic, than working just behind the chair to focus on family, that kind of thing. And then when the doors were shut, it was like, whoa, like never in my career have I been told that I was non-essential, you know, and that someone could deem and your job, your livelihood non-essential. And I spent a lot of time at home with my kiddos, and it gave me this great perspective of the investing in humans part. Like, okay, like work, money is not important. Work, irreplaceable, you know. And then what we are to do here is to invest in our kids, other humans, and just trying to be as positive of a light in a dark, very dark world. And that's kind of like the good that I took from it.
Yeah, gosh, I had so many things planned for 2020 with my social group that I run, and a lot of that was, some singles speed dating events and some masquerade balls, and I was supposed to be a guest on this one guy's dating panel, and it came around and it just threw a wrench in like all of that stuff, and it never like picked back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dating in 2020 was definitely hard. You saw a lot of these apps that popped up. What was the one where people would log in and it was like a chat room, but everybody was FaceTiming? It went away now. You can't. Oh my God, what was the name of
No
it?
idea.
House or something like that. It was super popular. Everybody was on it. But now it's gone. It's gone now. Nobody
No.
uses it. Yeah. Zoom became a big thing. People started like jerking off on their office Zoom calls and getting caught on video doing naughty things. It was kind of funny back then. Yeah. I started a podcast back then, and yeah. But here we are, 2022. Everything is back open. And Holly, when's your last date?
My last date. Great question.
Oh boy, dig back in the files.
Yep. I mean, it's not been that long ago. I just can't. So I can't recall because it didn't like stick. Where it was probably a couple weeks ago.
So where do you find all your prospects?
So I recently retired from Hinge. That was
Retired, huh?
I retired, and then right after that I put in my retirement for Bumble, and just kind of thought that I would take a step back again and just kind of like I guess recalibrate my life and just figure out like what I need to do, because the stories are endless about what I've experienced on dates. Anywhere from like your Christian Grey, like I have a contract and I'm like, where's the helicopter? To just so many interesting people.
All
And
right, so let me stop you right there. Talk to me about this Christian Grey thing. What is that?
oh man, it was interesting. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I think he did that on purpose. He, didn't give me a lot of info about himself prior to. He was in the military, very high ranking. So there had to kind of be something in place. So we met out, and I could tell he made a lot of money, had a very like nice vehicle. So when we were like chatting over appetizers, he kind of throws out the whole, like, are you familiar with BDSM? And I was like, yeah, but not too versed. So he continues to say, like, is that something you're interested in? And I was like, well, I mean, I hadn't given it any thought, but tell me more. Just because I was like, these situations pop up for me, and I'm just like, well, let's just find out, let's just get some more information. So he proceeds to tell me about like his experience, and I asked him, well, why are you on like just a regular app? Isn't there like an app for that?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, it's kind of trashy, just not the type of people that I'm looking for. And I was like, okay, well, so my question now is like, what if I put on my profile that said, that's a girl that would be into that? So, because I need to go fix that, you know what I mean? I didn't tell him that part, but I was like, so what? He was like, well, you look like you could be kind of a wild card, that it might pan out. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. But yeah, so he told me he has a full contract because of the military. He needed to protect his job and the whole nine. And I was just like, wow, this
What
is great.
what did this contract entail?
Well, it was basically it was standard, but then you basically like add the things that pertain to you, like the safe words, the things that are non-negotiables. We will not do this, that sort of thing. And just basically assigning your I don't even know, like essentially I think it was mostly to get him to not ever be in trouble with the military with Uncle Sam. If someone was to like report this situation. So I don't know, or maybe it was just for funsies, but
Well, so how did you react to this? Because like BDSM, that's when you're basically being tied up, and
yeah.
there's like a bunch of stuff. So when you were signing this, did you go like, okay, well, this
No,
contract,
I never signed it. I just had
yeah,
to know. Like
yeah,
once you're in the scenario, you're just like, okay, let me entertain this for a little bit, just to not come off like, oh,
yeah, yeah.
what, this is crazy. How did I get here? Because honestly, that's how it happens. I just get in these scenarios, but I entertained it enough and asked enough questions to just get a little bit of knowledge about it all. But then I was like, obviously, this is going to be a hard pass, but I can't say that right now. I have to act intrigued over eating pretzels. You know what I mean? So
So you were out on, was this the first date?
this was the very first
The
date. Yeah.
very first date, and he brought up, okay, so, okay. I get it. So why not go through the first date and see
Mhm.
how that goes? And if it's a great date, then on the second date, you kind of like bring that in. But if you come in guns blazing, hey, I got a BDSM contract right here. That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Well,
I mean,
it is, however, I told him like maybe like for us non BDSMers, if that's a word, maybe just like throw out a little PSA for just because like you don't want to go on a date and like have no clue.
yeah.
And I don't know. He that was his choice to do that, but I would rather know right off the what, because I don't want to waste anyone's time nor mine. So
I guess that's true because, yeah, on
yeah,
the second date, if he brought it out, you'd be like, why didn't you just say something on the first date? So I could
exactly.
just said, fuck you, we're not doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Hmm.
So is that like the craziest thing you've experienced on like a date from somebody you met online?
Probably because it just came right out of left field. That was probably the craziest. But I am that friend. All my friends are like, give me a story. What you got this time? And I'm like, I'm ready for that to not be my life.
Are you the single friend and all your friends are married and are in
Pretty much.
relationships?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, with it being a military community, I do have some friends that have lost their significant other and
Hmm.
that sort of thing. But pretty much, I'm the one still getting back out there,
Hmm.
still trying.
I mean, it's a rough dating world out there. Like, how many times have you been on a date and consider you've been catfished? Like the guy looks nothing like his pictures.
Not that many actually, because I try to do my due diligence and I try to look into them. And
Hmm.
there time specifically that I remember because I think I don't think I'll ever forget it, where I showed up for a coffee date. That was back in my pre-kids career of dating, where it was like dinner on a Friday night, lunch on a Saturday, dinner or a drink on Saturday night, and then a coffee on Sunday. Because I worked a lot. I was like career woman, I was
Mm-hmm.
a business owner, just trying to, have another part of my life being fulfilled. So I had to do it when had time. So I went for a Sunday coffee. I would line it up like, okay, this seems like the best prospect would be Friday
Mm-hmm.
to the least prospect on Sunday. So Sunday, I was like, okay, go for a coffee. The guy texts me and says, I'm here. And I was like, great. I am about to walk in. And I walk in and I look around and I don't see the person that I'm supposed to meet. However, that person turns around, puts out his hand, shakes my, hey, Holly, great to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do that today. Okay, all right. But then I'm so nice that I just got the coffee, sat and talked like 25 minutes, asked him about himself. And because I just couldn't do it, like I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
just be like, why did you, I'm just not that person.
So if you've been burned enough times, you will become that person.
Okay,
Because
well,
it happened to me. I was the kind of guy that I would go on these dates and I would go on all the dates. Like everybody that I matched with and we had like some rapport and we talked, I would meet them for a drink. Some of them, a lot of them didn't look like their pictures, but you know what? I would sit down and I would drink my beer and I would have a good time. I'm the kind of person, I'm like an extrovert. I can have conversations with everybody, and no matter how I feel about them, I can fake it pretty well. But I got to a point where I remember this one date. I saw the girl. She was running late already, so I was already kind of frustrated. It was 15 minutes past the date, and I texted her. She goes, "I'm sorry, traffic, blah blah blah." And I went to the door at the restaurant I was at and looked, and I saw this girl walking towards the door, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I hope this is not her. I hope this is not her." And I went back to the seat, sat down. She came in, she saw me, and she waved at me, and it was her. And I was like, "Oh my God!" I was instantly frustrated, and I went to the bathroom and was thinking to myself, "I'm on dip. I'm just gonna leave." And I didn't. I ended up going back to the table, but it was awkward because I wasn't even feeling like having conversation. I was just so frustrated, and I just told her, "Look, I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and pay the tab, and good luck to you." And
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, and what's funny about it is me and that girl's friends to this day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's God being catfished, man. It's
It's,
something else. Yeah.
yeah. Place Excel. Yeah. I mean, I'm always appreciative when people are pretty like open and honest. If it's like, oh, I'm not feeling that vibe or whatever. And I'm honest as well. Like I'll sit and talk to someone, but I'll also follow it up with like, hey, um, thanks for sending me pictures that were a decade old. Appreciate, but it's not going to work out that way because I feel like that's like not being living in integrity. You got to live in
Hmm.
integrity. So, like, especially when dating. So, I mean, I'm always appreciative when someone can be honest about, like, oh, you know, you're a great person, but the vibe is not there, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. And so I try to do that as well. I actually got a text today from someone I haven't heard from in weeks, and they were like, I've really been thinking about you. And had this whole text and I was like, oh, honestly, I haven't even thought of you. But thank you.
Oh, that's so messed up.
And but
Oh,
it's like, I don't know, people put too much into it. It's like, I don't know.
that's probably what you thought when I messaged you the other day on Snapchat.
No,
Like, who's this
no,
guy? Where'd he come
no,
from?
no. So the thing is, like with
Uh,
COVID, I'm off social media. So I forgot about people.
yeah.
Honestly, like it was an honest mistake. I just decided not to put my time into watching people live life online and just living in the 3D, living in the now.
That's what we do now. We, instead of living our own life, we are watching other people live theirs on social media. And
Yeah,
most of the things posted on social media are all positive. You know, it's like, look at me. What am I doing here? Look at me. I'm here at the beach. I'm on a
hmm
cruise ship. And right now I'm talking about everything I post. Yeah.
exactly.
So, but me, I'm guilty for throwing emotional stuff online too. I don't tell people my business, but sometimes I use Facebook as like a therapist. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes I'll like open up because some people want to hear, some people need to hear that other people are going through bad times too. And
yeah,
it kind of is their therapy, you know, because I've written some stuff like when I was going through my breakup. The first month was really tough, so I was like putting shit up there, and you know, people would message me and be like, "Hey, thanks for putting that up there. I really needed to hear
yeah,
something like that," you know. So it's like a therapy thing. Social media is good. It can have more good things about it than bad things. It's just terrible. It's like the other night. Here's a bad example of like how social media is terrible. Here's a good example of how social media is terrible. A friend of mine happens to be female. Came over with another female friend, and we cooked steaks in my kitchen, and we posted the pictures on Facebook. So I get a message from one of the girls that night saying, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And I'm like, "Name sounds familiar. I'm really not sure." And you know, she sends me a screenshot of what he said. This guy was completely trashing me. He was like, this guy's an asshole. He's got a God complex. He's got big dick, but it's small complex, some shit like that, you know, just totally trashing me and saying, I've known this guy for 4 years, blah, 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 blah. He hated me. I'd never met the guy in my life. I've heard his name because we got a bunch of mutual friends, but basically, he was just trying to throw shade my way. Maybe he wanted to get with my friend or something and tried to make me look bad. But, you know, that's the dark side of social media. People can say whatever they want about you, and, you know, it's up to people to believe that, you know. But,
yeah.
yeah. But I'm sure nobody talks bad about you because, I mean,
I mean, yes, yeah. I mean, no, because like, I mean, social media, yes, like it's a way for people to connect, like with friends and family, all that kind of stuff. But I guess I find more value in other places, and I feel like it's going to be one of those things that we're not even talking about in the next 20 years because there's so many
mm,
people out there trying to deconstruct the whole social media thing because it's really toxic for a lot of younger people. We know because we're
mm,
older that life is not that's not real. So when I was active, any photo shoots that I would do, like me and my kids or whatever, you would get the bloopers, not the good ones. You're getting the
mm,
bloopers because
yeah,
it's like that's real life. Like I'm not
yeah,
gonna give you a perfect Instagram post. I'm gonna give you the funny ones that like made me laugh because it's like my kid has like a crazy face and I'm like, what are you doing? You know, like that it's like that is life and that's what I want to remind people of.
hmm
So when I was active and I did post, I would post a lot of that and I did get a lot of people saying like I really appreciate that you post this, like this is really cool.
yeah, yeah. Me, I post everything. I, I,
Yeah.
I post like a lot of stories. So
Hmm.
my stuff disappears after 24 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes the only thing I really post on social media now is trying to market the podcast or something like that. Or, you know, sometimes I'll like share a nice post or about the
Yeah.
kids or something like that, you know, holiday pictures. And I don't know. I've been accused of being a Facebook whore. So,
Well, you got to be a whore or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, Jesus, because the sex thing's not working out. My God.
Yeah, I hear that.
Well, so I just had hip replacement surgery, so I'm like on the shelf for at least another month, and I'm
Yes, you
like,
are.
I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
you got to fade that out because like you don't want to have to like redo that, and it's not a you break it you buy it situation. So you better wait.
right, I'm going to tell you something. This might be a little TMI, but I don't care. I tell all my stuff. So, like, this is my second hip replacement. So, my first one, I had my left done, and it was probably 3 weeks after I had my left done. So, me and my ex at the time, we didn't have sex because I couldn't function correctly, right, because of my hip. But she found other ways to do it, right? All right. So, and when I did, oh my God, it hurt so fucking bad. Like when I hit the peak of the orgasm, my whole left side tensed up, and it was
Yeah.
like my hip had a knife stuck in it, and I screamed in pain. Like it was, yeah, I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, we're just going to wait until everything heals up before that happens again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were not fun at all.
No, yeah. I don't. It probably would affect you a little different than me, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't do entries in that kind of activity. We're not going to do cartwheels. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do anything.
Cartwheels. All right, so let's talk about the kind of guy you're looking for. So, what kind of characteristics, traits, what kind of personality, TV shows? What kind of TV shows does your man have to watch? Just like give me a. Let me see. I'm gonna help you out here. Is like zodiac signs a big thing to you?
Not really. I do look it up because,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, those white girls with a nose ring, they have a point sometimes, you know. So
Yeah.
I do look it up. I guess like again, it starts with good human, like good person, like
Okay.
to the core, integrity, like good human. If there's like a good like sense of humor, because like I am jokey all the time, it's really hard for me to be serious. I'm not the girl that you need to take to a funeral. I'm not, because it's
Mm.
there will be an opportunity because I'm in the room that it's going to be like, oh, look at that, and try to hold it in, try to hold that in. So good sense of humor, and
Good sense of humor or dark sense of humor? Because
so
both, okay. Because that's kind of, you could be like a person with a good sense of humor and just like rated G jokes all the time, or you could be like a dark sense of humor where every other word you say is like fuck, and like you laugh at dick jokes and stuff like that. Yeah.
I guess both. And then, someone that can just tolerate my shenanigans because like I'm trying to keep it together right now, but I am definitely someone that can take things a little bit out there. So and then so patience, I guess, someone patient and can appreciate humor from my side. And uh, the attraction thing, somewhat attractive. And then I don't know, I've been on this thing where I've always dated a little bit older because like the maturity level in some ways is there. And then but I have younger kids because I started later. I'm a
Hmm.
geriatric mother, even though I
Uh,
don't.
you are 38 years old. You're not a geriatric
Yeah,
mother. Oh my God.
like everyone starts early and I started late.
Yeah.
Now it's become people start late, but um it's just different because like all the people that I've dated that's been somewhat successful, it's like they're older but they have older kids, so they don't want to relive
Hmm.
that lifestyle, so they want to go and do while I can, it's like on my off time, right?
Yeah.
So and that's when it really gets tricky because it's like the day you met me, you know that I have young kids or younger kids. But then it shifts as time goes on. And, once they're back immersed in that lifestyle, it's like, okay, well, maybe this is not exactly what I'm looking for. So then I just want to throw punch them, you know?
So, do you feel that having young kids like that is a deterrent for dating for you?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like I'm 38, and if I go
Hmm.
into the 40s, a lot of men already are, I mean, their kids are like in the teens and up.
Hmm.
My last relationship, he was 44, but he had a 25-year-old, a 21-year-old, and an 18-year-old. So we're not that far apart in age, but we just have different lifestyles. I had to see the
No.
world before I had to have kids. I had to go to as many places as I could, um, before I ever stepped into that world, and it made me a better mom. So that's what I deal with. But so I'm really like I try to learn from every relationship and do like my inventory of like, okay, what could I change, or what could I do differently, and what am I continuing to choose that isn't right for me. So that was one of the things. It's like, I don't know that this whole like older guy thing is quite the ticket, but we'll see. Um, but I did find out like a lot of my relationships, every single one of them, although I thought they were very different, the common denominator there was they were all out of a long-term relationship and or marriage. So I was like, okay, we can't do that anymore. We cannot do that anymore.
Well, that's just about everybody.
Well, true, but it's like there are people out, because I've met some people out there that have been divorced.
Hmm.
Like I don't touch separated anymore. That's not for me.
Hmm.
Um, and then, long-term relationship, it's a different story, but you have to have a period of time where you kind of like just kind of do that inventory and like say, okay, well, this is what I would choose next time. This didn't work. This is what I can do different. You have to have a period of time, but those of you with that YY chromosome, just to like move on, like you can't waste any time.
Yeah. I'm not, well, I used to think I was not about wasting time, but right now I'm in cruise control. I'm not rushing anything. I play around with the dating apps. If I talk to people on the dating apps, like last night I had a hour conversation with a woman on Snapchat from South Dakota. Why?
Oh,
Why though?
I mean, that's interesting. Why not?
I mean, why not, right? She was cool. I mean, we had a great conversation. She's a veteran like I am. She's an Air Force vet. Very
Yeah.
attractive. But why? Nothing's going to happen, I mean,
We're going to be in South Dakota. You might take a left turn, and there you are.
I have never been to South Dakota, Holly. It's on my bucket list. Not really. It's not on my bucket list. But, but yeah, it's just cool, I'm all about meeting new people, and hey, we're Facebook friends now too, so it's all good. Yeah, um, yeah. So you're a tall woman. You're 6 foot tall. Is height an issue? Do you want a taller man, or?
It is. Well, I mean, anybody around my height is cool. Anybody like way above my height, they're like, no, man. Like I'm into midgets, little people. I'm in.
Wait, so people that are way taller than you say?
Like we're talking like now. I have had like boyfriends that were like 6'5", 6'6",
Hmm.
even 6'7", but it's like it never panned out. But then when I go back and see who they end up with, they're with these like 5'2"
Yeah,
and I'm like, look at that. Like it is a thing. They're into those little people, and that's
yeah,
fine. But just like be out with it and from the get go. I mean, like physically it makes sense, right? Like
yeah.
maybe but someone being 6'7", but then no, there's something there with all of them. With all of them.
I've
So
I've never dated someone taller than me that was flat footed, but I have dated someone that was taller than me with like 3 inch heels.
mhm.
I'm 5'11", so like I like taller women. I don't mind it. I'm secure. So if I stand next to my girlfriend and she's beautiful and she happens to be like 3, 4 inches taller than me, oh well. Everybody look at me. That's right. I'm with her, not you.
Yeah,
That's the
what
way I look at it. But
not a lot of that's the green line thing. There's a name for it. It's like the Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman thing. Like it is very attractive, like to see
mhm.
people, but not a lot of people want to be in that world. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of taller women, they probably want someone they can look up to and not look down to. I don't know. Is that like I
Necessarily. I mean, because I mean, I've dated across the board. It's just about the person, but and their security level. Because I don't
mhm.
care. Like I've my whole life I've heard like do you want basketball or do you want volleyball? Which one? And I'm like, neither. But thanks for the compliment, you know. But it's just, I mean, I'm about a human. It doesn't matter to me. It's nice when someone's taller, but it doesn't matter. A lot of the shorter guys are actually more drawn to me for whatever reason. So I'm for that. I don't necessarily date them, but I have quite a few, and I'm like, can you climb trees, buddy?
I was getting ready to say it. Cuddling's got to be interesting with a short guy. Because he probably would like to cuddle you and just like climb all over you and wrap his legs around you and all that, as opposed to a taller guy.
Nothing makes you feel more girly than being the big spoon, you know. But that's probably my favorite dating story, or dating thing to date, was back in the day when I first got a divorce, and like I joined eHarmony because we all trusted the old man on TV. He was like, you know, this is great, you know, we all trust. And I get on, I pay, you know, and then I get matched with this guy. We talk. At my best friend, she lives in Manhattan. She was down here for quite some time, recovering from a broken ankle, and she stayed with me, and you know, we would talk about things at night when I would get home from work, and I showed her this guy on eHarmony on my laptop instead of the computer phone that we have now. And I was like, you know, he asked for a number. I'm not sure. So she was like, well, let me see him. And she's looking it over, and she was like, oh yeah, I mean, he looks nice. I mean, you know, he is in South Carolina though. And I was like, yeah. So we had been having like big emails back and forth, and good conversation, really smart dude. And then I was like, well, let me just give it the profile a once over one more time before I go giving digits out, right? And I started using, because I was like, you know, things are kind of like that mantle looks awful high, and that door frame as well. So he had on his profile 4'2". I thought it was a typo. I thought it was supposed to be 6'2".
Wow.
Turns out was not a typo. And I was like, oh, okay. So when we use things for scale, I was like, uh-oh. So I look at my friend, I was like, I think I'm talking to a little person. And she was like, you're fucking kidding me. So she's just in hysterics. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how did I miss this? And then fast forward, I was just like, I blamed it on me. I was like, hey, you know, height has been a thing and insecurity my whole entire life, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry. And he just writes back, awesome. And then fast forward a few years, it's my biggest regret. Like, yeah. I wish I would have went on a date with that dude. I really do.
You should have done it. And
dude,
that would have been the cutest picture ever.
Well, I was like, listen, we could capitalized on that. We could have been on all those eHarmony commercials. He could have been on my back. I could have swung him around in a field of flowers, and it would have been like, if we could find love, you can too, you know? And it would have been like $1 million idea. But I was young and immature and was all about something else. And I should have been thinking about my future, you know?
Did you tell him you were 6 foot?
Oh, he knew.
He knew.
It was he knew, because like my stuff's laid out, but I am like, oh, that couldn't be right, 4'2". Like that's it was one of the proportionate, you know, like it's not. I don't. God forbid someone's listening that does.
Oh, he was ready to climb that tree, Holly. He wanted to climb so bad.
That's like snatch level, man. That's kind of strange.
All you got to do is stand up, and he stands up. He's right there level with it. He's right there.
That's what I found to be a little strange. You know, like I was like, what, buddy? Like, you didn't go for the like 4'11s. You went for the 6.
Hey, big goals, man. Big goals. You could have picked him up and like just flipped him, and like it would have. You could have had some fun with that one.
Biggest regret. Regret.
I would totally date a little person. So if you're a little person out there listening to this and you're really hot, send me an email.
I'm ready to get back on.
Me and Holly and I will date midgets or little people. I don't think.
Double date.
We will date. We would love to try a date with a little person. It would be fun. I went to see this called Micromania. I think it's like midget
Oh yeah.
wrestling. It came to Clayton a few months back, and I swear to God, they got the smallest woman I've ever seen in my life. Look, I'm telling you, she was like this tall. Like I think
Yeah.
she was like 3 foot something.
Polly Pocket. Yep.
Polly Pocket.
Polly Pocket. That was a toy.
Oh.
Tiny little. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it was the smallest person I've ever seen. She was cute. She was like real attractive too for a little person. So,
Maybe she'll find you after this.
she ain't trying to mess with Mike Bird, man. She's got money. She's looking for somebody with some money and some. I don't know. She might be looking at somebody 6 foot tall. I don't know.
Exactly.
She's like a basketball. But- well, hey, look, Holly, I appreciate you being on the show. I think we're going to wrap it up right here.
Yeah.
So, like for all the single guys out there listening, if you want, I can like put your email or something out there, and you guys can like drop in your emails. I'm telling you guys, Holly is super attractive. Tall, beautiful. Look at her. Yes. And I'm telling you, she's got the smile that will just like stop your heart in a good way. In a good way, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. And she, do you ever get up to Raleigh any, or you always just hang out down in there?
I mean, I used to COVID.
Yeah.
I just don't that much. And Jojo and those gas prices. Jojo up there in the White House. He's really been hurting. And I drive a Tahoe, so it's hurting.
Oh, that's a big old boy.
Yeah. So not much, but I can.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, look, thanks again, Holly. I hope you find your person sooner than later. Good luck out there in the single world. And, you got this. Keep in touch with me. Let me know how it's going. We'll have you back on the show, and we'll check you out later. All right.
Thank you.
You got it. Hey, folks, this has been Mike. This has been another episode of Take Care of Yourself. Don't forget, check us out on YouTube at Naughty Donkey Productions, and also download our podcast wherever you get your podcasts.